Good morning friends and welcome to Agri Study Point. Agri Study Point is a digital educational platform which is initiated by the postgraduate students of Chaudhry Charan Singh Haryana Agriculture University Hisar, Lala Lajpat Rai University of Veterinary and Animal Sciences Hisar and Maharana Pratap Horticultural University Karnal. Here our objective is to impart quality education of agriculture and allied subjects like horticulture, home science, veterinary and animal sciences and preparing the graduates to face the competitive examinations. So you can follow us on our YouTube handle Agri Study Point, our Instagram handle agri.studypoint, and also you can write to us and let us know your valuable comments at agristudypoint1@gmail.com. You can also call us this number and clarify your doubts. Hello friends, in today's lecture we will see about the respiratory system in insects. Like all other living organisms, insects need to obtain oxygen and they need to eliminate the carbon dioxide that is formed within their systems. This is achieved through the process called respiration, which is the gaseous exchange that takes place within the living systems. The respiration is both a physical and a chemical process. Respiration is physical in that sense it involves the transportation of gases within the insect systems. It is considered as chemical process because it involves the oxidation to form carbon dioxide and water. So we need to remember that respiration is both a physical and a chemical process. In case of vertebrates, the respiration is carried out using pigments like, for example, we have hemoglobin and hemocyanin, which carries the oxygen in case of higher organisms. But in case of lower organism like invertebrates, which includes insect, the oxygen is directly carried and supplied onto the cells and tissues of these organisms, which is achieved through tracheal system. Hence, the respiration in case of insects is also called tracheate respiration, or it is also called ventilatory system. Though tracheal system of respiration is present in most of the insect, it is not universal in the class Insecta because some insects from Columbola, Protura and some endoparasitic larvae, they lack this tracheal system and they go for integumental respiration. Which we will study later in this lecture. Just a reminder that the Columbola and Protura, they are no longer considered as insects and they are called non-insectan hexapodans along with the class Diplura. The origin of the respiratory organs, that is trachea, is ectodermal. That is, they are formed by the invaginations of insect body wall or cuticle and they are lined with intima. So before going on to the facts about the respiratory system which are important for competitive examination, we will have a brief understanding of how this respiratory system works in insect. So here is a diagrammatic representation of tracheal system in case of insect, wherein the cuticular invagination which is depicted here is called spiracle. Spiracle is like the mouth of respiratory system. So the air enter the spiracle and they move through this tube which is called trachea by passing through this chamber which is called atrium. The trachea subsequently divides into finer branches called tracheoles, and these tracheoles are so fine that they penetrate into the tissues and cells of individual parts, and they directly supply oxygen and they carry back carbon dioxide through the simple process of diffusion due to the gradient difference between these two parts. So this is in nutshell how the insect respiratory system works. So this spiracle has this cavity which is called atrium, a chamber or cavity which is present in case of spiracles, and in most insect the spiracles have an opening and closing mechanism which is regulated by musculature, and also there is one sclerite plate called peritreme. The peritreme which helps in the regulation of spiracular opening and closure. The walls of the atrium are lined with fine bristles or hairs which filter out the air intake to avoid any dust entering into the system of insects. From the spiracles, the air then move into the trachea. Trachea are the larger tubular structures, whereas tracheoles are the smaller tubular structures. They are ectodermal in origin and are lined with intima. In some portions the intima is thickened spirally and it's called ctenidium. Though most of the tracheal system is shed during molting, ctenidium is not shed during molting and it is retained. In insect, in some species, these trachea or the tracheoles are expanded to form air sacs. Air sacs, these are mainly present in fast flying insect, and these help in buoyancy, that is balance during flight, and in some insect they act as sound resonators and heat insulators. But its major function is lowering the specific gravity within insect body, especially in insects such as Lepidopterans and Odonotans, which are large flying insects. Since these air sacs lower the specific gravity, the resistance to flying of these large flying insects are lower due to the presence of air sacs. So the major function of air sac is lowering of the specific gravity. The trachea and tracheoles, there is no hard and fast difference between these two, but basically the tracheoles has size lesser than 2 microns. The spiracular openings are hydrophobic, that is, they resist the entry of water due to the secretions of peristigmatic cells. The secretions from peristigmatic cells keep these spiracles in hydrophobic nature, and these expel the waters and resist the entry of these waters into insect systems. So, as we discussed earlier, the respiration may take through diffusion, that is, the movement of gases through gradient, and also the passive suction ventilation. Passive suction ventilation, wherein the gradient difference here sucks the air from out environment. This one term which is called pneumatization, which means the replacement of liquids in the tracheal system by gases after molting. So, replacement of liquids in tracheal system by gases after molting, whereas the change in air pressure or the air volume is called ventilation. The spiracular number is variable within insect families and orders, and also within individual insects, and based on this the insects are classified into 4 groups majorly. The first one is polynuctic. Polynuctic is where at least 7 to 8 spiracles are functional. Polynuctic is further classified into holonuctic, perinuctic, heminuctic, and hyponuctic. In case of holonuctic, all the 10 pair of spiracles are functional. 10 pairs are functional, that is, 1 in mesothorax, 1 in metathorax, and 8 in abdomen. This condition is present in case of grasshoppers and a family called Bibionidae, to which in Diptera, which are commonly called lovebugs. In perinuctic condition, out of the 10 pairs, 9 are functional, whereas 1 in the metathorax is not functional, and the first pair may be present in pro or mesothorax, which is functional, and 8 abdominal spiracles. This is present in case of caterpillars and also in case of maggots of gall midges, which are called family of Cecidomyidae. Then in heminuctic, out of the 10 pairs, only 8 pairs are functional. 1 in mesothorax and 7 in abdomen. These are present in case of a fungus feeding Diptera Mycetophilidae. Then we have hyponuctic, wherein only 7 pairs are functional. That is, 1 in mesothorax and 6 in abdomen. which is present in case of head louse. Head louse belongs to the family Pediculidae of Thyroptera order. So, in polynuctic, where 7 to 8 spiracles are at least functional, we have 4 types: the holonuctic, perinuctic, heminuctic and hyponuctic. In holonuctic, 10 pairs are functional, in perinuctic 9 are functional, in heminuctic 8 are functional, whereas in hyponuctic 7 are functional. And you need to remember the example, that is grasshoppers or lovebugs for holonuctic, gall midges and caterpillars for perinuctic, mycetophilids for heminuctic and head louse for hyponuctic. The next type is the second type, oligonuctic, where 1 or 2 spiracles are functional. In this case, it's further divided into amphinuctic, metanuctic and pronuctic. In case of amphinuctic, 2 pairs are functional, one in the mesothorax and one in the first abdominal segment. One in mesothorax and one in first abdominal segment. This is present in case of Psychodidae larvae, that is bagworms, and in case of some larval dipterans. Then we have metanuctic, wherein only 1 pair is functional and is present in posterior abdominal segment. And this case is observed in wrigglers, that is the larvae or maggot of mosquitoes. Then we have pronuctic, in which 1 pair is functional, but this is present in metathorax, and this condition is observed in tumblers, which are pupae of mosquitoes. So, in oligonuctic, we have 3 types: the amphinuctic, the metanuctic and the pronuctic. In amphinuctic, only 2 pairs are functional, whereas in meta and pro, 1 pairs are functional. In case of metanuctic, the single functional pair is present in posterior abdominal segment, whereas in case of pronuctic, it's present in metathorax. The examples are bagworms or psychodids for amphinuctic. Metanuctic is wrigglers, that's the larvae of mosquito, whereas the pupa of mosquito, the tumblers, contains pronuctic conditions. Then we have the anuctic condition. The anuctic condition. In anuctic condition, all the spiracles are non-functional. It's present in case of proturans, parasitic dipterans and endoparasitic Hymenoptera. For example, we have larvae of Chironomidae. Then we have hypernuctic. In this case, there are 11 spiracles, and it's present in case of a family called Gepygidae in the order Diplura. Moving on, in insects which do not possess the tracheal system, they may either have cutaneous respiration or they may be aquatic in nature. In cutaneous respiration, it takes place in some columbolans, proturans, and endoparasitic insects, especially in the order Hymenoptera and Diptera. In these insects, the cuticle is permeable to oxygen and carbon dioxide. So, by the cuticle, respiration process takes place. That is, the exchange of oxygen and carbon dioxide with the environment takes place because the cuticle is very thin and permeable. Moving on, in insects which are aquatic in their habitat preference, they may directly take the oxygen from the air like mosquito larvae, or there are two types, wherein one is aquatic insects which take oxygen from air, and second one which take oxygen from water. Insects which take oxygen from air is the mosquito larvae, where the oxygen from air is directly taken, or there are some modifications such as the respiratory siphon, so respiratory siphon is a tubular structure. So imagine this is a water level and here is the insect, and there is one tube which reaches above the water surface here, and through this tube the oxygen is taken. This condition is present in case of Nepidae, which are called water scorpions, and also in case of rat-tailed maggots. So rat-tailed maggots are the larvae of syrphid flies of the genus Eristalis. So the members of Eristalis genus, their larvae is called rat-tailed maggots because the larvae possess a tail-like projection in their hind, and these larvae are used as an indicator because they live in highly polluted water, or the insects may contain air stores or physical gills. So in insects like diving predaceous beetle, that is Dyticidae, and Notonectidae, both of which belongs to Coleoptera. So in that case, so we have the spiracles here. There will be a formation of an air bubble around the spiracle, and through this bubble these insects take up oxygen, and these air bubbles reduce in size with time, and the insect must come to surface again to renew these bubbles. Next, there are insects which directly obtain oxygen from water. So this can be done either by the presence of gills or through plastron. So we have discussed about gills numerous times. Gills are the lateral outgrowth of body wall, and it's present in case of naiads, which are the aquatic larvae of hemimetabolous insects in the order Odonata Ephemeroptera. In case of Ephemeroptera or the mayflies, abdominal segment 1 to 7th has lateral gills. In case of damselflies, the abdominal end has lamellate gills, which are leaf-like, or they are 2 to 3 in number, and they are also called caudal gills. So they are leaf-like in structure. Then we have the rectal gills. Rectal gills are present in case of dragonfly naiads, and these are retained within the abdomen of the dragonflies. So the plastron, in case of some of the coleopteran like Hydrophilidae, water scavenger beetle, and Denacinae, which is a subfamily of Chrysomelidae. So these beetles have a fine layer of air around their body. The airs are so fine that the entry of water into this is inhibited. So in this case, a permanent layer of air is present below this fringe of hair. Below this fringe of hair, a permanent layer of air is present. But the insects do not consume oxygen from this air. This air acts as a physical gill. So the oxygen present in water is absorbed through this air, and they are directly available for the insect to utilize for their oxidation purpose. So plastron is a physical layer. It's a permanent layer of air trapped within the minute hair fringes in case of hydrophilids and Danae in case of chrysomelids. So apart from these parts, there is one more term called blood gills. So blood gills are the structures which are present in case of chironomids, which Chironomidae larvae, and there are other some dipteran larvae and some trichopteran larvae. So they are named as gills. They are not respiratory in function. So blood gills are the extension of body walls, which is called evaginations. So evagination is the opposite of invagination. So invagination means inward and evagination is outward. These are called blood gills because these contain the hemolymph or the insect blood, and they are helpful in salt and water absorption. Salt in the sense inorganic ion absorption and water absorption. So they have no respiratory function in case of insect due to the gradients in the hemolymph and the surrounding water. The salts enter into the hemolymph, which is called insect blood, and these are called as blood gills. So this is all about the insect respiratory system. The major things that should be remembered for in the competitive exams are different types. That is, we have studied the types holoneustic, hemineustic, perineustic, etc. You need to remember the types and their example, and some of the facts about the insect respiratory system, and also the cutaneous and aquatic respiratory and the organs present in these, the modifications of these organs, and also the examples which are present in case of these cutaneous and aquatic respiring insects. Thank you for choosing AgriStudy Point to cater your needs for competitive examination in agriculture and allied fields. You can let us know your comments and suggestions at agristudypoint1@gmail.com, and also you can drop your messages or call us at these numbers to clarify your doubts or if you have any suggestion for our improvement. Thank you.